Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this live stream this morning on the last final day of the Graduate Recruitment Placement Showcase. Hopefully you're going to learn all about what it's like working at DMU and hear from some of our fantastic students that we've got working with us at this moment at this year. Obviously, it's a slightly different year for everybody. And hopefully you'll get a really good insight into what it's like working here. So I'm going to introduce my co-hosts for the day, and everyone can introduce themselves and let you know who they are. So off you go.
Hi everyone, I am Chloe Turner, so I am a placement coordinator here at DMU. So I work in the business and law placement team currently, but my experience with DMU started back in 2016. So I was a student at DMU studying human resource management, and then I got to my second year and I decided I definitely wanted to do a placement year. I was 100% sold on the idea. I thought it was going to be just a great opportunity. I needed the work experience. So I started my placement search and I ended up securing my placement with the business and law placement team in 2019. I think it was around April time I secured my placement, working as the placement assistant for the business and law placement team. And I had an amazing experience. On placement, I got involved in so many different things. I really loved the job description. That was one of the main reasons I applied for the role. There was so much variety in the role. And then I finished my placement, but still really loved the team, loved the work they were doing and wanted to stay. So luckily I was able to continue to work with the business and law placement team. And throughout my final year of university, I was a placement administrator for the team. So my role changed, but I still got to work with the team. And then when I was finishing up my degree, looking for a graduate job, a role opened up in the Chem placement team as a placement coordinator. I applied and secured that and started in May time. My focus was on international and postgraduate students, so I was mainly supporting them. And now I am back in the business and law placement team as a placement coordinator. So my role involves giving students that one-to-one support, running appointments with them to review their CVs, go through mock interviews, and delivering sessions like the one we've got for you today, just to support you in your search and give you an insight into placements. So that is me and my experience at DMU so far.
Hi, so my name is Rebecca and I am currently a careers and placement assistant at DMU. I'm also a placement student myself, and I'm based within the faculties of Art, Design, Humanities and H&S, which is Health and Life Sciences. So I started about 8 months ago now, so it's been 8 months since I've started working for DMU as a placement student, and I've been really enjoying it. I never actually intended on doing a placement year. I kind of fell into it through the interaction I had with my placement team within my faculty. I'm a psychology student as well, of course. So yeah, it was quite an interesting way that I became a placement student. I actually applied really late. At this point last year, I hadn't even applied for a placement at this point. So for me, it was a little bit more unusual. And currently the work I do is really varied because I do work for 2 different faculties. I'm able to talk with a lot of academics, a lot of employers. I also work with students, a lot of like answering queries, doing promotion. The job is so varied and it really does keep you on your toes, and it's so interesting. I really do love it.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Webster and I'm currently the Employer Engagement Assistant at DMU. So I'm in the same situation as Rebecca. I applied and secured the role and started in August 2020. So I've been doing it for about 8 months. My role is obviously a lot more employer facing and employer organising events, advertising their graduate roles, lots of social media promotion and things like that, which is really great. I'm similar to Chloe in the respect that I knew that I wanted to do a placement, and I had been applying for quite a few, and it wasn't until I think I got in touch with the HLS placement team to get some advice on my CV and application process that I found out about the DMU placement. So I applied for it, and I was really, really grateful to secure the role. It's been great. The team is so lovely. So it's been such a brilliant experience so far. And I am also studying psychology and criminology at the moment, obviously on my placement year.
Hi, so I'm Liz. I'm a careers and placement assistant within business and law. I normally study media and communications, but I am currently on my placement year, just like Rebecca, Olivia and Dami. So my role largely is interacting with students with the help of the business and law careers and placements team. My role is also very varied, which we'll get into a bit later, but yeah, I didn't learn about placements and what they were until the end of my final year. So I applied for a couple at the beginning of my second year, and then just happened to stumble across the internal DMU placements on social media. So yeah, I just thought I'd go for it, and it worked.
Hi everyone, I am Dami Lola. I am also a careers and placement assistant, but within the Chem faculty. In first year, I did not want to do a placement at all until I got to second year, and it just seemed like a great break from 2 years of uni, and also a great opportunity to have a year's worth of work experience. So I started my application process quite early. And then towards like June, I got this job, which was absolutely great because it meant I didn't have to move at all. And I also study business and marketing.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly, and I'm a public engagement assistant at DMU Local, and I study law, but obviously I'm on my placement year at the moment.
Brilliant. Thank you everyone for introducing yourself. So the next round of internal DMU placements are due to go live any day soon. I know that the different departments are in their process of putting their applications in. So we want to obviously inspire you and give you more information about what it's like to work at DMU. So Molly, I'd like to bring you back on to chat with me. Can you give me an idea about why you chose to do your placement year with DMU Local?
Yeah, so this is actually a really difficult question for me because it's kind of super hard to pinpoint a particular thing because for me it was kind of everything. Ever since I heard about the work that DMU Local do, the difference they make to the student experience, the impact they have on the community and young people around Leicester, I knew that I really wanted to kind of experience working with them. I'm really passionate about helping others and making a difference. And I've been lucky enough to travel around the world volunteering, which on 2 occasions was with DMU Local. So I think this particular role was like just a really perfect fit for me, and I've absolutely loved every minute of it.
That sounds absolutely amazing to have that opportunity to volunteer. Tell us a bit more about that, Molly. What did you do?
So first of all, in my first year, I volunteered in Berlin, so with asylum seekers and refugees. And then during my second year, I volunteered in India, so in a community, in a place called Ahmedabad, where I was working in the kitchen, helping prepare food for other volunteers and different communities.
So obviously, given the current climate, volunteering isn't as big a focus in DMU at the moment, just because it's so difficult for students to be able to do that. Has that affected your role slightly, do you think?
I mean, I think it probably has affected my role quite a bit, just in the sense that normally I think I'd be out on different projects. But I think we're still kind of offering virtual volunteering opportunities that I've obviously been working on. And this year we've kind of sat back a little bit and really thought about why we do everything and what's the best way to kind of start it again as soon as we can. So we've had a lot of time to kind of think about everything that we're doing and come up with new ways that will be best for the students and the community.
Planning is so vital and such a big part of everybody's role. I know for myself, it's given me huge time to plan lots and lots of different activities and things. Chloe, I want to have a quick chat with you. You did HR, if I'm right, as your degree. Was that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So what made you sit here and whilst in 2017, did you say? Or 2018?
So 2018 was the year I did my placement, yeah.
So what made you in 2017 sit there and think, wow, this placement opportunity just looks like a fantastic match with my degree and everything that I want to do going forward?
Yeah, so I was kind of applying strictly for HR placements before the placement assistant position. But I was always just keeping an eye on my gateway, looking out for that. That gets updated weekly. So I was always on my gateway. And then the role popped up and I was reading the job description and it just kind of sounded perfect for me. It matched my skill set really well. I really liked the placement team. I thought they would be, you know, a great team to kind of go through my placement year with, and I could really kind of learn and develop. And then, you know, there's the bonus of being on campus and, you know, knowing where you'd be working and things like that. And I didn't really have any kind of desire to go to a big multinational company. I always thought I would be better suited in a smaller company with a smaller team where my role could be more varied. So that was kind of why I applied for that position. And I think that's just kind of shares the message to students how important it is to read the job descriptions of roles. So you might look at a title of a role and think, I have no idea what that is. I'm not sure what this role would be about. And you read the job description and it, you know, clarifies that role, and you realise actually this is something that would be great to do for 12 months and it would be a really great opportunity for me. So I'd always recommend to students that you just read through the job descriptions of these roles if you're not sure what it's about. But yeah, I just thought the role was just so suited to me. And I had previous marketing experience, so I was part of a society at DMU. I tried to get involved in, you know, different extracurriculars and things like that. So I was the social media manager for my HRM society. So I had some experience in that. It was nice being able to be creative while studying a business-based degree as well. So that was kind of a nice outlet. But yeah, whilst on placement, I did make sure to get involved in different things. So I got involved in a number of recruitment processes. So whilst on my placement, I helped recruit internal members into the DMU Works team. So as a HR student, that was just, you know, really great experience. I was able to use that in interviews when applying for graduate jobs and things like that. And I really got an insight, you know, into the kind of practice where I've got the theory for my degree. So yeah, just the perfect role for me.
Sounds amazing. I remember you going through your journey. So let's bring in Liz, Rebecca and Dami, because obviously you're doing the same role, but it's evolved a little bit now. It's not just a placement role, it's careers and placements. So why don't you let us in and let the people watching about what you guys have been doing while you've been on your placement. I know Rebecca's been doing some fantastic stuff for me, so why don't we start with you, Rebecca, and you can just give a bit of an insight into the variety of the different work that you've been doing.
Sure, no problem. So for me, as I said, I have 2 different faculties I work under, so my role in itself is a little bit busy. It's quite crazy, but I like being busy, so for me it's absolutely fine. So for arts, design and humanities, recently I've been doing a lot of research, specifically for focus groups, which is something that really interests me, as it's part of what I do on my course. I do a lot of research, focus groups and so on, because I'm a psychology student, so it's really nice that I'm able to put that into practice. And also on such a large scale, it's, you know, completely different to what I've done on my course. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of promotion, which is something that was completely new to me. I'm a psychology student. I've never really done marketing. I've never really had to create graphics before. And that's been something really cool that I've been able to do as well, something that I've been supported through in this role. I also do queries, email inboxing, you know, talking to students. I've also recruited students for events. I also help with like live streams like this. I join them and I help to manage the students and their attendance. For HLS, I've done PAVE, so all of the promotion from PAVE, that was solely done by me. I created it and put it out. And I also get to do things like upload jobs onto my gateway and so on. So it is a really varied job and I get to meet loads of different people. You know, it's been really amazing, and it's also just really sociable. I really enjoyed it because I'm definitely a people person, and it's really nice to be able to see all the work that you do and see how it's affecting students as well. It's also really strange sending out an email and it going to your student account and being like, I sent that. So yeah, I really, really enjoy it, and you know, it's really, really what's the word? It's just really nice to be able to see the work that you're doing and see the difference it's making. It makes you feel really good and really proud of yourself. So yeah, definitely, I love it.
I totally appreciate that. That's massively why I do the job I do. It's seeing that impact and making a difference into somebody else's life, and seeing the results of students like yourself when you finish your placement year and you come back from that, and just seeing the impact that placement has had. Dami, why don't you go next and tell us what you've been up to?
So my job is, as you guys know now, is working in the chem faculty, which is really good. It's nice to step out of BAL that I am based in academically. But the kind of work that I do is very much heavy on social media and content creation. So that's like making graphics on jobs available, events coming up, and any other opportunities or tips that comes into the inbox. So all of this is just all in aim to engage with students, engage with the chem students, as well as graduates working with careers as well. So the two teams I work for, the job description is very much similar. A couple of things that I have introduced this year on the career side is a top 10 grad job list, which goes out every other week to the different schools, so students in the 3 different schools: computing, engineering, and media. And then the other kind of stuff that I've introduced with on the placement side is having a newsletter go out to placed students. So these are students that are currently out on placement right now. And so that goes out 4 times a year, and it basically just talks about the things that are happening at DMU currently, so they still feel quite connected once they come back from their placement year, and also job opportunities, grad job opportunities for them, as well as like any questions. Like we have a frequently asked questions section, which is about when their assignments are due, who they can speak to for this specific like software that they need access with. And this was just something that I thought, one, would help with my editorial skills, like compiling a newsletter, but also for the placed students to feel connected and to not feel like disconnected when they do come back from their placement year with everything that's been happening at DMU. Other events such as Women in Chem, I was very much heavily involved in from the start. And this is basically just compiling information from who's attending an event, kind of the aim of the event and the date and the time, and just compiling that and making it quite visually attractive to students on social media. But I really enjoy my role. I think the one thing for me that I was looking for before I found this placement role was an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to develop myself, enhance my marketing skills, and also the space to be creative and space to bring new ideas that may not always be a yes. I mean, you can definitely do that, but is kind of a yes, we do encourage that. How can we get this started? Or could this like other idea perhaps be better to do now? I think having that space where you feel like your voice is heard and you feel like you have something new and creative to bring into the team is very much something I wanted, and is very much something I have seen over the past 8 months in my faculty and my team. So yeah.
Sounds amazing, and definitely some different things there to work that Rebecca was doing. What about yourself, Liz? Because obviously you're in the last faculty, business and law. So how about we hear what some of the different things that you've been doing?
Okay, so my degree is entirely theoretical. So my main takeaway from doing a placement is to get experience within social media and marketing. Within, like, since I've been in post anyway, the careers team's been quite fractured due to staff absences. So it's just been me and my manager, and he's let me pretty much do whatever I want, you know, within reason. So some of the main projects that I've been involved with is, as an outcome from a focus group, I set up a newsletter, which is the first time this sort of thing's gone out in the BAL faculty. So this goes out to all years, all degrees. I think it's about 10,000 students, which was a bit scary for the first time. So yeah, myself and the front runner within the team set that up from scratch, and that now goes out monthly, and it's a thing I think is going to remain a legacy piece. It's going to continue, so that's nice. I've also been able to organise a series of events. So because we've not been on campus, we've not been able to do any physical events. So my manager's given me the opportunity to organise a series of alumni events, which are ongoing. They're throughout March into April. So I'm the one that identifies, you know, potential alumni, emails them, follows them up. I do all the marketing, I set up the meetings. I'm there to, you know, head the meeting when it actually happens. On the placement side, I have continued doing a placement blog, which all BAL students who have done a placement or are currently doing one are invited to come and write about their experience. So that's been really successful. It's really taken off since I've taken over it from about Christmas time. So yeah, my role's quite varied. I can pretty much propose anything I want, and most of the time it's a yes.
It's amazing. The three of you are all doing the same job, but yet all having very, very different experiences in the things that you're able to get involved in. So it's great to hear just the amount of variety of work that's available to you. Olivia, I want to come over to you now. You're obviously part of the wider DMU Works team, but you're, as you mentioned in your opening statement, you're part of the employer liaison team. So doing something completely different to what the last three are doing. Do you want to just explain a bit about what you're getting involved in?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, obviously, as I've already kind of mentioned, the main difference between my role compared to Dami, Liz and Rebecca is that it's very employer facing, and all their roles are student facing. So my focus is getting in touch with employers who can offer opportunities to students and graduates, but kind of focusing more on the graduates. And then the ways in which I contact employers, mainly email, phone calls, video calls, obviously now as well. And sometimes employers will just reach out to us following our newsletter that we send out. So it's my responsibility to create this newsletter. We send it out twice a year to employers, and we just talk about all the events that we've held over the year and how they've gone, how employers can get involved with those in the coming terms. Other parts of my role include posting job opportunities and events to my gateway. So there are some overlaps with my role and the other placement students. Same with kind of social media promotion. We all share the DMU Works social media page. So although my role is employer facing, I do still have the chance to connect with students as well and promote things to them as much as I do employers, which is really great to have that variety. I also send targeted emails to final students and graduates, as that's my focus, just to tell them about all the events and opportunities. But a really core kind of event for my role is obviously the graduate recruitment and placement employer showcase. It's quite a mouthful to say, but normally this would kind of just be the on-campus careers fair. Obviously, due to the pandemic and everything, we had to move it to all online. So we first launched it in October 2020, which was only a couple months into my placement. So it's quite kind of overwhelming, but in a good way when you start the placement, because you could just kind of get thrown straight in. But the team is so supportive. It's great to have things to do, and you get given that responsibility like straight from the get-go, which for me, like, I found it really rewarding to have that, and to see the showcase go live and everything get successful, and have all these students accessing these events and turning up to the webinars. So I think overall the role is just really rewarding, and kind of echoing what the previous girls have mentioned, that there's just so much variety within it, and just being able to present your ideas to your team, and that they're really listening and they really want you to be as involved as you can be. So it's just great to feel that you're really part of the team.
Yeah, I think that's such a crucial part that worries a lot of students, just how they're going to fit with that team. Is it going to be an actual proper job that you're doing, or is this like a made up job that's just been created? So Molly, is working for DMU what you thought it would be? Is it living up to your expectations? Did you have expectations?
I didn't really know what to expect. I was just super nervous. I think the thought of working for such an established institution is really quite scary. I was almost worried that I'd be seen as a student, and that my opinions and suggestions maybe wouldn't be as valid or as important as everyone else's. But I couldn't have been more wrong, really. I think if anything, your opinions are just as valuable, if not kind of more so. Like being a student, but also being a member of staff puts you in a really unique position, I think, because it can make a very big difference kind of within a team. And I know personally within my team, they've always made me feel really welcoming. And they've always been really keen for me to share my ideas and opinions as a student, as well as a member of staff.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think that's a huge thing here at DMU. So even from my role when I started in 2018, DMU really does value that balance between kind of staff and students. And, what we do is support students. So having that insight and knowing what you like and what you don't like as a student, they definitely utilise that as a staff member. And, now we're working online, we're working remotely, we need to reach students in a different way. They're still encouraging that voice, and what can we change so it's better for students? What would you like to implement? What would you like to see? I think that is something that's always been kind of a really important part of these roles.
Yeah, I'd absolutely echo that, Chloe. I know from my perspective, I've contacted Rebecca, Liz, Dami and Olivia for some of the projects that I'm working on, because that student insight is absolutely so vital. It's many, 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 many years ago since I was anywhere near being a student. And it's really easy to lose touch with the audience that you're trying to reach. So even more so, your voices during your placement year are absolutely crucial, because you are living and breathing and going through this experience at this moment in time. Chloe, how did you find it? Because I know a lot of students worry what it's going to be like graduating with a different cohort to the first 2 years that they've spent with somebody. And obviously when you work in a placement team, you kind of see the students coming through the doors that then might not get a placement that you're then on this final year with. How did you find graduating a year behind technically what were your group of friends at that point?
Yeah, so you're right. I think a lot of students do worry about being in a different friendship group in a different year. A lot of students who maybe took a gap year already feel like I'm kind of too old for this already, and I don't want to be in a year behind. I'm going to be so much older than everyone else. But I just saw the placement as something more important than that. You know, you can make new friends, and if you've got good friends, you'll still talk to them whilst you're on your placement year. You know, you can still meet up and things like that. And, you know, especially we've got the benefit of being in Leicester, so we still was able to go and see our friends. I saw my friend while she was in her first year on my lunch breaks, and we'd meet up in the coffee shop and have our lunch together. But I just thought, you know, I need to do this placement. It's so much more important. I'm just going to gain so much. It's going to develop me. I'm going to gain all this experience. It's just a great opportunity. I can't pass this up for just being in a different year group. And I'm so happy I kind of went with that, and I did it. And, you know, I know a lot of students do have that concern, but it's a really great opportunity, and I don't think you should pass it up just, you know, for a different friendship group. And things like relocating as well, you know, just dive in and make the jump. I know a lot of students, Liz pointed out the blog account that Bal have, and there's some really kind of good stories on there where students weren't sure about relocating, and they'd been at, you know, a different place, and they wouldn't have their friends around them and things like that, but they ended up absolutely loving where they did their placement and the company and the area, and they made friends there because, you know, other placement students are at that company, just not from DMU and things like that. So yeah, don't pass the opportunity up. Your concerns are completely valid, and we understand them, but it's just too good of an opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Molly, just a question direct to you. So DMU Local obviously work with quite a lot of organisations outside of DMU, but have you had the opportunity to work with other teams within DMU that aren't your immediate team?
So my particular team sits within SCI, so Social Impacts and Engagement, and there's lots of other departments within that, like Sport, Global, etc. But we all kind of have our own different departments, and we do kind of try and work as closely as possible. But I've have personally kind of worked for quite a bit with DMU Music. I've also worked with academics from ADH on a range of projects kind of across the institution. And I've also been responsible for the team's kind of social media. So I've also had meetings and conversations with essential comms, etc. So I've definitely had the opportunity to work with a wide range of people kind of across the university.
It's such a crucial thing. People go to large organisations and they absolutely do that cross collaboration. And I think people kind of forget with the university that absolutely that cross collaboration just doesn't work. If you don't, a university won't work without that cross collaboration because there's so many different teams. Even the placement and careers and placement assistants, I know you work on projects together. Rebecca, do you want to start off just by explaining some of the stuff that you guys have done together?
Yeah, sure. So with the rest of us, I'm sure they'll chip in and let you know as well. We most recently, me and Dami have worked on a project together. We worked on a ADH and Chem joint careers event, which was about, gosh, feels like ages ago, but it was only this week, which was all about like the creative media industry and how we can get our students in. So it was an event that had employers and they did presentations. So me and Dami worked together to do the promotion, and then also just to you know, manage the session, attendance, questions, and so on. So that was really interesting. We also do talk. So we meet each other regularly and we get to, you know, talk about our own projects and what we're doing, if anyone has any thoughts. I know that I'm always sending them over promo and going, what do you think? It's always good to like bounce ideas off of each other. And also just, you know, when we've got events that are on that we need promoting out to the other faculties, we obviously send over the materials. So it's really nice to be able to, you know, talk to the wider teams, but also you get to hear what's going on in the other faculties, and if they've got something really interesting going on, you can be like, can I nick that? And then, you know, make it for your own faculty, because, you know, if it's working well for other students, why not apply it to your students as well? it really helps. It really helps to have people like to bounce ideas off of, but also just to, you know, have those connections, because it really does broaden the projects and also just the ideas that you've got already.
That's brilliant, thank you. You've mentioned, all of you, about meetings here, there and everywhere, and you get together for a chat. How are you all finding home working? I know for myself, it was a huge adjustment. I've got 2 children, I've got a husband, and for me, it's the moving around of everybody from one thing to another. Don't come in, I'm in a call. Olivia, how are you finding home working?
Yeah, so I have to agree, it's definitely been challenging throughout my time working at home. I'm a really like sociable person, and as I mentioned, I didn't mention this actually, I don't know why I said that, but I was really excited to kind of meet all my new colleagues, and I've never worked in an office before, so I was really excited for this new working environment, to meet everyone, you know, have that kind of like office banter that I can imagine happens probably quite frequently. So obviously when I found out that we would be working from home, it was quite sad, because you know, I knew that I would enjoy that, and it was a new experience to meet everyone. I also do find it quite hard to focus after staring at my screen all day. I think we've probably all felt the effects of digital fatigue, you know, students, staff. I think everyone is struggling with that. But I have acknowledged a few ways in which I kind of work around that or try and reduce those problems. So, for example, obviously make sure that I have breaks away from my laptop if I find myself losing focus, or, you know, getting distracted or going on my phone. Then I just think, right, you might as well step away from the laptop, because you're not doing work right now anyway. And I think it's also really important to have the separate like workspace and relaxation space or enjoyment space, because sometimes if you just have a break at your desk, or, you know, where you're working, you almost don't really feel like you've ever had a break from your laptop, and I think that can be really demotivating and hard to kind of refocus back onto your work. And also just going outside for even just a 5-minute walk, that really helps me. I'm really quite an active person normally, and I was part of the volleyball team at uni, and not having, you know, training or anything has been quite hard. So I think highlighting the fact that, you know, just going for a little walk can really help you focus back in on your work. And yeah, that really helps me feel more motivated. So there are a lot of challenges, but, you know, there are ways around it. And also we've had quite a few informal meetings, like Rebecca mentioned. We have our like catch-up meetings every fortnight, just us placement girls, and it's so nice to just obviously discuss what we're working on, but, you know, a lot of the time we end up just talking about Netflix, or, you know, what takeaway we had at the weekend. So like meetings like that are really lovely to have.
Dami, how did you find the whole onboarding process when you first started? Because obviously I actually onboarded my administrator in July, which was slap bang in the middle of the first lockdown, and I didn't get to meet her in person until October. So I'd only ever seen her head and shoulders, really. I didn't know how tall she was, nothing. How did you find the initial onboarding stage of actually starting working and starting from home?
I think it was okay. I think by the time like we got hired, it was around like August we started. So DMU staff had already kind of been in and out of the office from March anyway, and so it was an adjustment. Like in the past, I have worked in an office setting before, but this is different because it's a different team entirely. So I will say maybe there is a perk to starting straight at home, because if I had started anyway in the office, I think I'd hold on to a lot of the things that I have missed, and I haven't had a chance to do in a while. Obviously, when the lockdown started to kind of like fizzle out, I don't know if it was like second one, we did have the opportunity to go into the office 1 week on, 1 week off. So I think I kind of got a chance to see what the working environment like physically is like, and it was really nice. I mean, we didn't have everyone in the office, so it was definitely not the original like setting. But I think it was nice to see like my manager for the first time, my line manager for the first time, and two of my colleagues in the placement team, which was really nice just to get to know like their personality a bit face to face and a bit better. But I think it's definitely taught me like self-management, because a lot of the time, like Olivia was saying, like going on your phone, having all these distractions around, I think it's kind of helped me like build a good routine that works for me, and that like I know like by doing this or sitting here or having some music in the background is my thing, I work better and I get the work done. So I think it's probably, yes, we've lost that opportunity of like getting to know each other face to face, but actually it's built skills such as self-management and self-discipline and organisation as well. So yeah.
That's a really, really, really great positive way to look at it, Dami, that you've developed skills that you might not have developed had you been in the office environment. So I think that's an absolutely fantastic outlook to have. How did you find it, Liz?
Yeah, so I didn't mind it that much. It was a shame, obviously, we couldn't go into the office. When we did, it was okay. I found it easy to, focus more. But over the past 8 months, I have managed to build up some sort of self-discipline. It's also tricky with me because I booked my accommodation way before COVID was even a thing. Like nobody had heard of it. So I do live in a one-roomed apartment with a full-time student, my boyfriend. So sometimes having to juggle, I'm on a meeting now, please be quiet, and everything like that is tricky. But everyone I've come into contact with at DMU is accommodating. If I need to push a meeting back half an hour, they'll accommodate it. So it's good. It's taught me a lot about myself. It's let me develop. And yeah, I am overall happy with working from home.
How about you, Molly? How did you find it? Because obviously local is such a sociable environment, very similar to the placement environment and DMU works generally. It's very, very student-led, very student interactions even. And when Liz said, obviously, she got a chance to be in the office a couple of times and able to focus, that's because there was no students on campus to come and disturb everybody. How have you found having to adapt the Zoom, Teams calls and everything like that, whereas normally everything would be much, much more face-to-face?
So for me personally, it definitely took some getting used to. I think the initial transition to remote working was difficult for everyone. So let alone when you're kind of starting a new job. For me, it hasn't been too bad. I was really anxious to kind of go into the office and meet everyone because I'm quite I get worried about meeting new people. So I think in one sense it was a relief because I didn't really have to do that. But then on the other hand, I didn't really get to push myself in that sense. So I haven't been in the office yet. So I haven't really met many of the people face to face. I did have the opportunity to meet my line manager right at the beginning, so back in October, just while we were getting started. But it has been quite frustrating at times. As I said, one of the main replacement was to experience what it was like to work in an office environment, and obviously that kind of hasn't been possible so far. But I think it is really important to look at the positives, and I've definitely developed skills that maybe I wouldn't have done outside of COVID. So working on a computer all day, every day has enabled me to kind of, I guess, be better at tech, to be honest, and just kind of have that self-discipline. I think at the beginning I really struggled with thinking and having that sort of mindset where if you're not sat at your desk, at your computer all day, then you're not working. So I think that definitely kind of took some getting used to and just recognizing that it's okay to kind of walk away for 5 or 10 minutes because you do that in the office anyway. But I think overall it has been a positive. I mean, I would love to get in the office and work and meet everyone and have that kind of office environment and banter, like some of the others said. But I definitely don't think it's been a negative at all.
Such a positive attitude, and that's really, really great to hear. Also, the way you've kind of gone, I'm quite anxious about meeting new people, so this actually helped in some ways. We'll have to find other ways for you to bridge that little gap and get over that nervousness. We're coming towards the end of it, but I really, really want to hear from everybody what their highlights have been whilst they've been on placement. Chloe, I'm actually going to start with you. And the reason being, I know obviously you're quite clearly not on a placement anymore, but you were one of the first few that enabled all of this to happen. So you laid some really fantastic groundwork, especially in the placement office, that then enabled senior management team to look at what a fantastic opportunity this was to enable more placement opportunities to be offered. And I think we now offer 10 throughout the whole of the university, not including DMU local. They're additional ones on top of that. So for you, what was your highlight that you took away from your placement year?
It's really hard to pick just one thing because I feel like I just did so much on my placement year. I'm really surprised I crammed it all into 12 months. But I think, just the being able to have an impact and, like you said, implement things that go on to have such an impact on the team. So I ran my own event from scratch. So I did a panel event and it was held in the SU. And, I worked with teams like ITMS and the events team and things like that. And got to promote that myself. And, senior management was on board with that and they were really happy with that. So that was great. I worked in the Leicester Graduate City team. So that's where we collaborated with University of Leicester and Leicester City Council. So I was involved in the promotion of the event and getting students on board to take part in this large focus group. And the team went on to win an award for that at the DMU Oscars. So that was great to, have a kind of award, win an award as part of the team you're on your placement year. And then just working with the students. So I think when students think about doing a placement at DMU, they don't think, oh, I'm not going to be around lots of other placement students. I'm not going to have that kind of community. But I met my best friend whilst on placement. So she was the employer engagement assistant that year. So we worked on a lot together and we're still really close now. So I know I said more than one, but I just have too much. I have too many highlights from my placement year. It really was just a great experience.
That's brilliant. Rebecca, over to you.
Yeah, I completely agree with Chloe. There's just too many and I haven't finished my placement yet. It is really difficult because you do get to do so much and there's so many opportunities, especially with, being given ownership. I think for me, one of them that was really, really important and that I was like absolutely ecstatic about was that I got to create entirely by myself one of the newsletters. There was a lot of hard work and there was a lot of me going, I just want to give up, I hate this. But it was completely worth it, and seeing it printed out and seeing it, sent out to the students and the feedback I got from academics and the rest of the faculty was just, absolutely amazing. So much so that I printed it out and stuck it on my wall. So I want to remember that. I'm really proud of it. Which is really crazy because, a year before I had that exact newsletter created by my predecessor stuck on my wall when it was handed to me. And that was just, it was almost mind blowing, like, bit of imposter syndrome. I was like, can't believe I did that. And that was really, really special. Also just, working on open days and being a staff member is just really cool. And recently we had an award show, which was a New Year event, and we actually won, which was incredible. We won Best Careers and Placement Service. And obviously I've only been here 8 months, but as someone who's been at DMU since 2018, and I've worked at DMU as a student ambassador as well, that was something I was really proud of. I think Also, being a placement student within your own university is a really interesting experience, because you know that the staff work hard and you know that being a student is difficult, but you don't realize how much until you kind of get placed with them. And it's easy to forget that the university staff are people too, and it's just incredible the work that everyone else does, my colleagues does. So that's something I've really taken away. I think also my placement year has reminded me why I chose DMU as a university and why I enjoy being here. It's kind of brought a lot more appreciation for the university, and I'm just really, really happy and really grateful. I'm really lucky, and I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't on my placement year.
That's really inspiring to hear, Rebecca, especially as how you openly admitted at the start of this that you weren't going to do a placement and you kind of fell into it. So it's so rewarding to hear how much you're taking out from your placement year. Liz, what about yourself?
Yeah, so I think the main highlights so far would be a law event that myself and my manager did in November. It was a really stressful 3-day event, normally run by 4 members of the team, but obviously there was only me and him. So it was just a non-stop 3-day event. I didn't even take a break. It was like my choice, obviously. It was stressful, but it was so rewarding. All the events were really successful. My manager gave me really good feedback, and I just proved to myself more than anything that I can handle stress, because I came into the placement thinking, oh, I can't handle stress. I cry at the smallest thing, but it's taught me a valuable lesson. So that's the main highlight. And then also getting feedback from my manager every month when I'm filling out my logbooks for my academic side of things. It's just really great just to see this paragraph of praise, to back up that I am doing a good job. So like most recently, he said that he's actually underutilizing my creative skills after seeing the work that I've done. So hopefully there's going to be some really cool projects coming up.
That sounds amazing and well-deserved praise, I'm sure. Dami, what's been your highlight?
There are so many, like everyone else, but I think for me, it's definitely the team. I think just they're so approachable, like across everyone, not even in my team, not even in the chem faculty, but actually BAL, HLS, ADH, and the employer liaison team as well. So they are so approachable, like no one is beyond reach, even the senior managers as well. And I think I love that because it definitely feels as though your voice is heard and you would be listened to if you were to approach anyone. And I think that just as over the last 8 months has really empowered me in my ideas, in my, like, I feel comfortable to action things without sometimes asking, just because they've given me like that permission to go for it. I think the first thing I did when I came and started my placement was to completely change social media. Like, I think I'm just very particular about things. So I basically was able to come up with the idea of doing more highlights on me in the team and different areas of things that we do, and like changing like the outlook of it and sort of like the colors and making sure everything's like crisp and clear. And I think saying all these things to my manager, I'm sure like it was sort of a, oh my, this is a lot of things, but actually I felt empowered to go out and just do it. And the feedback that I got across the team was amazing. I mean, I worked with Chloe for I think about like 6 months of my placement or 7 months of my placement, and so she was very much part of that, with empowering me to go for it, especially on the social media side of things. And so I think that is very much something that I've never had in any other team that working for DMU has very much stood out to me. But yeah.
That's brilliant. Olivia, what's been your highlight?
Yes, I think my highlight would be that I recently ran my own event. It was actually this week. So it was really great to actually completely organize it, plan it from scratch, and I also promoted it as well. So it's kind of like I literally took charge of it completely. I've obviously been involved with a lot of organisation of loads of other events, but they've not necessarily been my idea from the start. So it was really great to kind of have the freedom to run with my idea and go with it. So mine was also a panel event, and I was really grateful to have Liz with me on the panel. So I organised it and was also a speaker on it, and I had Liz and then 3 DMU graduates. And I really wanted it to be a kind of session where it felt a little bit more informal. I know we have so many events that we promote and they're all absolutely amazing. But I know there's a lot of events that are kind of focused on employability, or, it's employers telling them about their opportunities. And I really wanted this one to be a kind of more like personal touch to it, hearing career journeys and like students could probably relate to us maybe rather than an employer, and hear about our story and maybe get inspired to either apply for a placement or a graduate role that maybe they were a bit nervous about or unsure about. So it's really great to be able to run that successfully, organize it, and get good feedback from that as well. And then going on from the feedback point of view, kind of you guys have mentioned, but the reassurance and the support you get from the team is in itself, that's a highlight really, because you just do get so much good feedback, and it's just so rewarding to have that. And it just it puts a smile on your face when you've been stressed for a week, you've worked really, really hard, and getting so much praise, it makes it all worth it. And it really encourages you to keep pushing yourself and push yourself out of your comfort zone, do something that you've not done yet, and put that idea forward that you're maybe not sure about, but actually it could turn out to be an amazing event. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Molly, I've left you to last. We've had a comment from Fee Donovan just saying how absolutely helpful you've been this year, and that having students within DMU Local, it really helps the student voice in the work that they do. So echoing a lot of what you've already said about the work that you do, it's just really nice to hear Fee kind of echo how important DMU Local view having students with them. So finally, what's been your highlight of the year?
I think it's such a difficult question because I've loved everything and every minute so far. I love the amount of different people that I've been able to work with. I love the range of projects that I've been involved with. But I think for me, if I had to pick something, I really kind of love being creative and thinking outside the box. So having the opportunity to come up with different project proposals and being involved in the early stages of project development has been a real highlight for me. I also kind of run and look after all the social media pages for DMU Local, which I've really enjoyed kind of taking ownership of and developing a kind of, developing my marketing skills and obviously kind of a new style for Local. That's brilliant.
Thank you. Chloe, I'm going to leave the last few words other than me saying goodbye over to you. Students obviously go to large companies and they hear all about these graduate schemes that these companies offer. And I suppose they worry that there's no career prospect at DMU. Clearly, that isn't the case. So do you want to just explain? I know you talked a little bit in your opening statement, but you're not the only placement student that is now working at DMU. So do you just want to just close a little bit with some aspirations that hopefully students can recognise the fact that there is absolutely a career for them at DMU?
Yeah, so definitely a lot of students think, I'm not going to get offered a grad job, or there's not going to be opportunities for me once I've done my placement here at DMU, but there definitely is. And, I've gone through 3 roles within the placement team, so there are opportunities available. Like you said, we've had students work in these roles before and then go on to do great things at DMU still. So Daniel, who was in this role, my role, placement assistant, before me by 2 years, I think. He went on to work in the faculty marketing team. The front runner who was in the BAL placement team whilst I was a placement administrator. She's working as an ambassador, working a lot with the communications and marketing team, doing some great work on open days, doing Q&As and things like that. So I think there's definitely a bit of a bug. And, you know, once you do your placement here, you see how great it is and, you know, what you're contributing. And, you know, I definitely wanted to stick around. So there are definitely opportunities. We've seen it in myself, in other students. There is things that DMU can offer you after your placement year.
That's brilliant. All that's left for me to say is thank you to our viewers for watching, and thank you to the panel for joining me today to have a discussion about this. My closing statement is I absolutely, as a manager, value the work that the placement students do for us in the year. They enable me to have a different viewpoint. The focus groups that Rebecca's doing is allowing me to have a student talk to students. Hopefully the students open up more. So absolutely, you do a fantastic job. You are absolutely classed as part of the team. We love having you. And there are absolutely opportunities once you finish your university degree to look at applying to roles at DMU. So hopefully we've inspired some people to apply. So please do keep an eye out on my gateway for these internal roles going live. As I said earlier, there are about 10 different opportunities plus DMU local where Molly is working. And Molly, you're not alone. You do have another placement student with you as well. So I don't want people to think that there's only one opportunity at DMU local. There isn't. And all that's left to say is thank you very much and goodbye, everybody.